As a tech enthusiast and freelance graphic designer, I was always on the lookout for tools that could boost my productivity and streamline my workflow. My days were filled with juggling multiple projects, tight deadlines, and the constant need to stay ahead in a competitive industry. One afternoon, while browsing a popular tech forum, I came across a thread raving about a new productivity app called Focus Pro. Focus Pro was advertised as the ultimate solution for enhancing concentration. It claimed to block digital distractions, track work habits, and even suggest optimal break times to maximize efficiency. The app had glowing reviews, and users praised its sleek interface and seamless integration with other tools. Excited by the prospect of gaining an edge, I decided to download it. The installation was straightforward. The app requested permissions to access notifications, usage data, and other settings to function effectively. Trusting its legitimacy due to the positive feedback and professional-looking website, I granted the permissions without much thought. Immediately, Focus Pro impressed me. It analyzed my work patterns and provided insightful analytics. The dashboard displayed which apps consumed most of my time, highlighted periods of peak productivity, and even suggested personalized schedules. I began to notice improvements in my focus and completed tasks more efficiently. Over the next few days, I became reliant on Focus Pro. It muted distracting notifications, reminded me to take short walks, and even adjusted my screen's color temperature to reduce eye strain. I recommended it to colleagues, convinced that it was a game changer. However, after about a week, subtle anomalies started to appear. My phone's battery began draining unusually fast. At first, I attributed it to increased usage, but even on days when I used my phone minimally, the battery issue persisted. I also noticed unfamiliar icons briefly flashing on my screen before disappearing. They were too quick to identify, and I dismissed them as glitches. One evening, as I settled down to finalize a client's project, my laptop behaved erratically. The cursor lagged, applications froze, and the fan whirred loudly despite minimal activity. Frustrated, I rebooted the system, hoping it would resolve the issues. Upon restarting, everything seemed normal, so I continued working. Later that night, I received an email alerting me to a login attempt on my bank account from an unrecognized device. Alarmed, I logged into my account and was shocked to find that several large transfers had been initiated to unknown recipients. Panic surged through me as I frantically contacted my bank's fraud department to report the unauthorized transactions. They assured me that the transfers would be halted and advised me to change my passwords immediately. Confusion and fear clouded my thoughts. How had someone accessed my financial information? Determined to find the source of the breach, I began retracing my digital steps. I changed all my passwords, enabled two-factor authentication, and scanned my devices for malware using standard antivirus software. The scans returned clean results, which only deepened the mystery. The next day, strange things continued to happen. Friends messaged me about odd emails they had received from my address containing links to unfamiliar websites. My social media accounts displayed posts I hadn't made, promoting products and services I knew nothing about. Realizing that my entire digital presence was compromised, I felt violated and helpless. Seeking answers, I delved deeper into cybersecurity forums and resources. I learned about sophisticated malware and spyware that could infiltrate devices, often masquerading as legitimate software. A nagging thought surfaced: could Focus Pro be the culprit? I searched for more information about the app, but found that the original website was no longer accessible. The app's page on the App Store had been removed, and the positive reviews I had read earlier were nowhere to be found. Instead, I discovered discussion threads warning users about Focus Pro, labeling it as malicious software designed to steal personal data. My heart sank as the realization hit me. By granting extensive permissions to Focus Pro, I had unwittingly allowed cybercriminals access to my personal and financial information. The sleek interface and professional marketing had been a facade to deceive users like me. Desperate to mitigate the damage, I contacted a cybersecurity specialist. She guided me through a comprehensive process to secure my devices. We performed deep scans using advanced tools which revealed hidden spyware embedded in the system files of both my phone and laptop. The malware had been logging my keystrokes, capturing screenshots, and transmitting the data to unknown servers. We meticulously removed the malicious software and reinstalled the operating systems to ensure no remnants remained. The specialist advised me to monitor my financial accounts closely and consider placing fraud alerts with credit bureaus. The sense of violation was overwhelming, but I was determined to reclaim control. I also reported the incident to the authorities, providing them with all the information I had about FocusPro. They informed me that such schemes were becoming increasingly common, with cybercriminals employing advanced tactics to trick users into downloading harmful apps. The aftermath was challenging. I spent weeks repairing the damage, restoring accounts, reassuring clients about the security of their data, and rebuilding trust with contacts who had received suspicious messages from my accounts. The experience left a profound impact on me, shaking my confidence in technology that I had always embraced. Reflecting on the ordeal, I recognized several red flags I had ignored. I had granted extensive permissions without scrutinizing them, trusted an app solely based on online reviews, and failed to verify the developer's credibility. My eagerness to enhance productivity had blinded me to potential risks. Determined to prevent others from experiencing similar harm, I began sharing my story on professional networks and forums. I emphasized the importance of cybersecurity awareness, encouraging others to be vigilant about the apps they download and the permissions they grant. I highlighted the need to research developers, read user reviews critically, and use reputable security software. The incident also prompted me to adopt better digital hygiene practices. I regularly updated my devices, used strong, unique passwords managed by a secure password manager, and enabled multi-factor authentication wherever possible. I became cautious about clicking on links or downloading attachments, even from seemingly trustworthy sources. In time, I regained my footing professionally and personally. The financial losses were mitigated, and I rebuilt my online presence with a focus on security. While the experience was harrowing, it served as a valuable lesson in the vulnerabilities that accompany our increasingly connected world. Today, I continue to advocate for cybersecurity education, recognizing that technology's benefits come with responsibilities. By sharing knowledge and promoting safe practices, I hope to help others navigate the digital landscape more securely. The malicious app incident remains a stark reminder of how easily technology can be weaponized by those with ill intent. It taught me that vigilance is essential, and that we must balance our enthusiasm for innovation with a healthy dose of caution. As a freelance journalist specializing in technology and innovation, I was always on the lookout for compelling stories that could captivate readers and shed light on the ever-evolving digital landscape. My work often involved interviewing entrepreneurs, tech leaders, and innovators who were shaping the future. One afternoon, while sifting through a barrage of emails, a message caught my eye. It was an invitation to interview Evelyn Thompson, a reclusive yet influential entrepreneur known for her groundbreaking work in artificial intelligence. Evelyn's name was synonymous with innovation. She had founded several successful startups and was rumored to be on the verge of unveiling a project that could revolutionize machine learning. The email was from someone claiming to be her personal assistant, proposing an exclusive interview ahead of the official announcement. This was the kind of opportunity that could elevate my career to new heights. Excitement surged through me as I replied promptly, expressing my keen interest. The assistant responded with suggested dates and times, along with a note that the interview would be conducted via a secure video conferencing platform due to Evelyn's busy schedule and preference for privacy. We settled on a date later that week, and I began preparing meticulously, researching her past ventures and formulating insightful questions. On the day of the interview, I ensured my equipment was functioning perfectly. I logged into the provided platform a few minutes early, nerves and anticipation intertwining. Precisely at the scheduled time, Evelyn appeared on the screen. She was poised and elegant, with a calm demeanor that exuded confidence. Her background was a minimalist office space, adding to the professional atmosphere. We exchanged pleasantries, and I thanked her for the opportunity. Evelyn smiled warmly, stating that she appreciated thoughtful journalism and was looking forward to our conversation. As we delved into the interview, she spoke eloquently about her new project, an advanced AI system capable of intuitive learning and ethical decision-making. Her insights were profound, touching on the ethical implications of AI and her vision for a future where technology and humanity coexisted harmoniously. The interview lasted over an hour, covering a range of topics from technical details to philosophical perspectives. I was enthralled, certain that this piece would be a significant contribution to the discourse on artificial intelligence. After we concluded, Evelyn expressed her anticipation of reading the final article and encouraged me to reach out if I had any follow-up questions. Over the next few days, I worked diligently to transcribe and polish the interview. I crafted the article to capture not just her words, but the essence of her vision. Upon publication, the response was overwhelming. The article garnered thousands of shares, ignited discussions across social media platforms, and positioned me as a journalist capable of securing exclusive content with industry leaders. However, a week later, an unexpected email landed in my inbox. It was from the official communications director of Evelyn Thompson's company. The message was terse, stating that Evelyn had not participated in any interviews recently and requesting clarification on the matter. My initial reaction was disbelief. I read the email multiple times, confusion clouding my thoughts. I replied, explaining that I had conducted a video interview with Evelyn and provided details of the correspondence with her supposed assistant. The response was swift and unsettling. The communications director asserted that no one from their team had reached out to me, and that Evelyn had been abroad on a silent retreat with limited access to technology. Panic began to set in. I revisited the initial emails, checking the addresses and comparing them to the official contact information on the company's website. The email domains were remarkably similar but not identical, a subtle difference that I had overlooked in my excitement. I opened the recording of the interview, watching it intently. Everything seemed as I remembered: the mannerisms, the thoughtful pauses, the articulate responses. Yet doubt gnawed at me. Determined to get to the bottom of the situation, I reached out to my friend Marcus, a digital forensics expert with experience in detecting manipulated media. I explained the predicament, and he agreed to analyze the footage. A few days later, Marcus invited me to his lab. His expression was grave as he gestured for me to sit. He began by commending the sophistication of the video, noting that at first glance it appeared flawless. However, upon closer examination using specialized software, he had detected anomalies. He pointed out subtle inconsistencies: the way the shadows fell, slight delays between the audio and lip movements, and pixelation around the edges of the figure. Marcus explained that the video was a deepfake, created using advanced artificial intelligence to superimpose Evelyn's likeness onto another person's face and body. The revelation was staggering. I felt a rush of emotions: shock, embarrassment, and a deep sense of betrayal. Not only had I been deceived, but I had unknowingly propagated false information to a wide audience. My credibility as a journalist was at stake, and the potential repercussions were overwhelming. Questions flooded my mind. Who had orchestrated this elaborate ruse? What was their motive? And how had they known enough about Evelyn's work to fabricate such detailed responses? Marcus speculated that it could be the work of corporate rivals, hackers seeking to undermine both Evelyn's reputation and mine, or activists aiming to discredit the advancement of AI technology. I knew I had to act swiftly to mitigate the damage. I drafted a retraction, transparently explaining the situation to my readers. In the article, I detailed how I had been the victim of a sophisticated deepfake scam, expressing deep regret for the oversight. I also reached out directly to Evelyn's team, apologizing and offering full cooperation in any investigation. The response from the public was mixed. Some readers appreciated my honesty and the proactive steps I took to address the issue. Others criticized me for not verifying the source more thoroughly. My editor was supportive but emphasized the importance of rebuilding trust with our audience. Determined to turn this crisis into an opportunity for awareness, I decided to delve deeper into the world of deepfakes. I began researching extensively, uncovering how rapidly the technology had advanced and the potential threats it posed not just to individuals but to society at large. Deepfakes could be used to spread disinformation, manipulate public opinion, and even blackmail. I reached out to experts in cybersecurity, ethics, and law enforcement to gather insights. Through interviews and investigations, I compiled a comprehensive expose on the dangers of deepfake technology. The piece highlighted real-world cases, explained the technical aspects in accessible terms, and offered guidance on how to detect and combat such deceptions. The article was published as a feature, gaining significant traction. It sparked conversations about the need for regulations, technological safeguards, and public education. Evelyn Thompson herself reached out, expressing her appreciation for shedding light on an important issue. She acknowledged the challenges posed by the misuse of technology and offered to collaborate on promoting ethical practices in AI development. In the aftermath, I took additional measures to enhance my journalistic practices. I implemented stricter verification protocols, cross-checking sources meticulously and utilizing authentication tools. I also attended workshops on media literacy and digital forensics to better equip myself against future deceptions. The experience was a harsh lesson in the vulnerabilities that come with the digital age. It exposed how technology, while offering incredible advancements, could also be manipulated to cause harm. The incident reinforced the importance of skepticism and due diligence in journalism, especially when dealing with high-stakes information. Looking back, I recognized that my eagerness to secure an exclusive had clouded my judgment. The flattery of being chosen and the allure of a major scoop had led me to overlook red flags. However, by confronting the mistake head-on and using it as a catalyst for broader awareness, I was able to regain some measure of professional integrity. The deepfake deception underscored a critical challenge facing society, ensuring that technological progress does not outpace our ability to manage its ethical implications. It highlighted the need for collaboration between technologists, policymakers, and the public to establish safeguards against malicious uses of AI. In sharing my story, I hope to caution others about the potential for sophisticated digital fraud. Whether in journalism, business, or personal interactions, vigilance is essential. Trust must be earned and verified, not assumed. By remaining informed and adopting proactive measures, we can navigate the complexities of the digital world more securely. The incident remains a defining moment in my career, shaping my approach to journalism and technology. It serves as a constant reminder that with the incredible tools at our disposal comes the responsibility to use them wisely and to guard against those who would exploit them. After relocating to a new city for a promising job opportunity, I found myself enveloped in a sea of unfamiliar faces. The bustling streets were filled with people, yet I felt utterly alone. My evenings were quiet, often spent in my small apartment overlooking the city's skyline. The excitement of starting anew was overshadowed by the isolation that crept in after work hours. In an effort to build a social circle, I joined a popular social media group for local professionals. The group was vibrant, filled with posts about networking events, favorite local spots, and weekend activities. One evening, while scrolling through discussions about the best coffee shops in town, I received a friend request from someone named Jordan Miller. Jordan's profile picture showcased a friendly smile, and the bio mentioned interests in hiking, photography, and jazz music all passions I shared. Intrigued, I browsed through Jordan's profile. There were photos of scenic hiking trails, candid shots at local jazz clubs, and comments on posts from other group members. It seemed Jordan was well connected and active in the community I hoped to join. Happy to make a potential friend, I accepted the request. Almost immediately, Jordan sent me a welcoming message. We chatted casually that evening, discussing our favorite hiking spots and local eateries. Jordan recommended a few hidden gems in the city that only locals seemed to know. The conversation flowed effortlessly, and I felt a genuine connection forming. Over the next few weeks, our chats became a regular part of my routine. We discussed everything from the latest music releases to deep philosophical topics. Jordan shared photos from weekend adventures and even introduced me to a virtual book club. The loneliness I had felt began to fade as I looked forward to our daily interactions. One evening, Jordan opened up about personal struggles, mentioning the recent loss of a family member and the challenges of coping while maintaining a busy career. Empathizing with the situation, I shared some of my own experiences with grief. This vulnerability seemed to deepen our connection, and I appreciated having someone to confide in. Eventually, Jordan suggested we meet in person. There was an upcoming art exhibit at a downtown gallery featuring a photographer we both admired. Excited to finally meet my new friend face to face. I agreed. We planned to meet at a cafe near the gallery on Saturday afternoon. On the day of the meeting, I arrived early, choosing a cozy corner table with a view of the entrance. The cafe was charming, filled with the rich aroma of coffee and the soft hum of conversation. I ordered a latte and waited, watching the door each time it opened. Minutes turned into an hour, but Jordan never showed up. Concerned, I sent a message to check if everything was okay. There was no response. Disappointed and a bit worried, I eventually left, thinking that something urgent must have come up. That evening, I noticed strange activity on my social media accounts. Posts were appearing that I hadn't written, odd status updates and promotional content that didn't make sense. Friends began messaging me, asking about unusual emails they had received from my address. Panic set in as I realized my accounts had been compromised. I tried to log in to change my passwords but found myself locked out. My email, social media, even some online banking accounts were inaccessible. Frantically, I called customer support for each service, but the wait times were long, and I felt time slipping away. As I grappled with the situation, my phone rang. An unfamiliar number flashed on the screen. Hoping it might be a helpful friend, I answered. A distorted voice greeted me by name, informing me that all my personal information had been obtained. The caller recited personal details, my address, birth date, even my mother's maiden name to prove their claim. The voice demanded money in exchange for not releasing sensitive information publicly. They threatened to share embarrassing photos and private messages with my contacts if I didn't comply. Feeling violated and trapped, I asked why they were doing this. The caller responded calmly, saying that people needed to be taught a lesson about trusting strangers online. They mentioned that Jordan was a fabrication, a persona created to lure me into sharing personal information and clicking on malicious links. I hung up, heart pounding. Unsure of what to do, I reached out to the police and filed a report. They directed me to their cybercrime unit, who took down all the details. The officers were sympathetic but warned that such cases were challenging to resolve due to the anonymity of the internet. Over the next few days, the harassment escalated. My friends and family received emails supposedly from me, containing fabricated stories and manipulated images meant to damage my reputation. Some colleagues distanced themselves, unsure of what to believe. Determined not to be a victim, I began researching cybersecurity measures. I learned about phishing attacks, malware, and the importance of strong, unique passwords. I reached out to a cybersecurity expert who guided me through the process of securing my devices. We discovered that malware had been installed on my computer and phone, likely through a file or link sent during my conversations with Jordan. The The malware had given the perpetrator access to my keystrokes, passwords, and personal files. Working tirelessly, we cleaned my devices and set up robust security protocols. I contacted all my financial institutions to secure my accounts and monitored my credit reports for any fraudulent activity. I also took proactive steps to inform my contacts about the situation. I explained that my accounts had been hacked and urged them to disregard any unusual messages. Many were supportive, offering assistance and understanding. The cybercrime unit continued their investigation but warned me that the perpetrator might never be caught. They advised me to be cautious with future online interactions and to educate others about the risks. Reflecting on the experience, I felt a mix of anger and embarrassment. I had been deceived by someone who exploited my desire for friendship. However, I also recognized the importance of not blaming myself entirely. Cybercriminals often use sophisticated methods to manipulate and harm others. I decided to channel my experience into something positive. I volunteered to speak at local community centers about cybersecurity awareness. Sharing my story, I emphasized the importance of skepticism when connecting with strangers online and the need for strong digital hygiene. Over time, I rebuilt my online presence with caution. I adjusted privacy settings, used two-factor authentication, and was selective about the information I shared publicly. While I remained open to making new connections, I did so with a newfound awareness of the potential risks. The ordeal taught me valuable lessons about trust, vulnerability, and resilience. It reminded me that while technology can connect us in meaningful ways, it also opens doors for those who wish to cause harm. By taking control of my digital footprint and advocating for cybersecurity, I turned a negative experience into an opportunity for growth. Though the perpetrator was never found, I refused to let them have power over my life. I continued to explore the city, joined local clubs in person, and built genuine friendships. The experience made me stronger and more vigilant, but it didn't rob me of my willingness to connect with others. In the end, I learned that caution and openness can coexist. By protecting ourselves and staying informed, we can navigate the digital world safely and continue to build the connections that enrich our lives. After years of living in a cramped apartment, I finally achieved my dream of owning a house, a charming Victorian nestled in a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood. The place had character-ornate woodwork, stained glass windows, and a wrapperarch that seemed perfect for summer evenings. Eager to blend the old with the new, I decided to modernize it with the latest smart home technology. Being a tech enthusiast, I relished the idea of controlling every aspect of my home with a simple voice command or a tap on my phone. I installed smart thermostats, automated lighting systems, security cameras with facial recognition, and smart locks that allowed keyless entry. Even the appliances were connected, capable of suggesting recipes based on the contents of my refrigerator. For the first few weeks, everything worked seamlessly. I could adjust the temperature before getting out of bed, have the coffee maker start brewing as I stepped into the shower, and receive alerts if a package was delivered while I was away. Friends were impressed by the integration, and I felt a sense of pride in my futuristic abode. However, strange occurrences began to disrupt my peace. It started subtly. The kitchen lights would turn on by themselves in the middle of the night, and the thermostat would reset to freezing temperatures without any input from me. I attributed these quirks to software glitches and updated the system, hoping it would resolve the issues. One evening, as I settled on the couch to watch a movie, the television switched channels on its own, cycling through static and unfamiliar programs. The remote lay untouched beside me. Confused, I used voice commands to return to my movie, but the system didn't respond. Instead, a distorted image appeared on the screen, a black and white room resembling my living room, but with unfamiliar furnishings. Unease crept in, but I convinced myself it was a streaming error. The next day, I contacted customer support for the devices. After running diagnostics, they found no issues. They suggested it might be due to interference from other electronics or a neighbor's device inadvertently connecting to my network. Determined to secure my system, I changed all my passwords, enabled two-factor authentication, and set up a guest network to isolate my devices. I felt confident that I had fortified my home's digital defenses. Despite these measures, the disturbances intensified. The security cameras began sending alerts of movement inside the house while I was at work. Each time, the footage showed empty rooms with fleeting shadows that seemed to dart out of frame. Reviewing the clips left me with a sense of dread. One night, I was jolted awake by music echoing through the halls, a melancholic piano melody I didn't recognize. Groggy and alarmed, I grabbed my phone to turn off the sound system, but it showed no active playback. The music grew louder, resonating from the walls themselves. Gathering my courage, I followed the sound to the living room. There, the smart speaker's indicator lights flickered erratically. As I approached, the music abruptly stopped, and a cold breeze brushed past me, though all the windows were closed. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I unplugged the speaker, and silence enveloped the room. The following day, I noticed new items appearing on my smart shopping list, things I had no interest in buying: antique candles, old portraits, and obscure cleaning supplies. Puzzled, I deleted them, only for the items to reappear hours later. I began to suspect that someone had gained access to my system despite my security enhancements. I reached out to a cybersecurity expert who conducted a thorough examination of my network. After extensive testing, he concluded that there was no evidence of external hacking or unauthorized access. With no logical explanation, I started to consider other possibilities. Perhaps the old house harbored secrets that didn't mesh well with modern technology. Curious, I visited the local historical society to research the property's history. I discovered that the house had been built in the early 1900s by a man named Samuel Hawthorne, a recluse rumored to dabble in the occult. Legends spoke of strange gatherings and unexplained occurrences. Subsequent owners reported eerie events, leading many to believe the house was haunted. Skeptical of the supernatural but desperate for answers, I pondered whether the smart devices were somehow amplifying residual energies. Maybe the technology acted as a conduit, bridging past and present in unforeseen ways. That night, I decided to test my theory. I set up one of the security cameras in the basement, a place I seldom visited. Around midnight, an alert notified me of movement. Watching the live feed, I saw a faint figure, a translucent silhouette moving slowly across the room. My heart pounded as the figure turned toward the camera, revealing indistinct facial features before vanishing. Breathing heavily, I tried to rationalize what I had seen. Perhaps it was a trick of the light or a malfunctioning sensor. Yet deep down, I knew something was amiss. Determined to confront the issue, I called a local paranormal investigator. While I felt a bit foolish, I needed to explore every avenue. The investigator arrived the next day, equipped with an array of gadgets. As we walked through the house, she noted that the electromagnetic readings were unusually high, particularly around the smart devices. She suggested that the influx of technology might be disturbing the energy in the house. According to her, older homes with rich histories could react unpredictably when saturated with modern electronics. She recommended removing some devices to see if the activity subsided. Reluctant but willing to try anything, I began disconnecting the smart systems. I replaced the smart bulbs with traditional ones, reverted to a standard thermostat, and swapped the digital locks for good old-fashioned keys. As each device was removed, the house seemed to exhale, releasing a tension I hadn't realized was there. Over the next few days, the lights no longer flickered, the strange noises stopped, and the unsettling alerts vanished. The house felt different, calmer, more welcoming. Reflecting on the experience, I wondered if the integration of technology had inadvertently awakened dormant energies. Perhaps the house, steeped in history, resisted the intrusion of modern devices. Or maybe, in my eagerness to modernize, I had disrupted a balance that shouldn't have been disturbed. I decided to embrace the home's vintage charm. I restored original fixtures, decorated with period-appropriate furnishings, and found joy in the simplicity of a less connected life. I still use technology, but sparingly and respectfully. Friends questioned my choice, baffled by my shift away from convenience. I shared parts of my story, omitting details that might invite skepticism. I simply told them that the house and I had reached an understanding. The experience taught me valuable lessons about the unforeseen consequences of technology. While smart devices offer incredible convenience, they also open doors to vulnerabilities both digital and, perhaps, beyond our understanding. It's a reminder that progress should be balanced with mindfulness of the past. Living in the house now brings me peace. I feel connected to its history, and in turn, it seems to embrace me as its caretaker. Whether the events were the result of spectral unrest or psychological suggestion, I may never know. But I've learned to appreciate the mysteries that come with old houses and to respect the unseen threads that weave through time. In the end, I found harmony by blending the past with the present thoughtfully. My home is not just a place to live, but a story to be part of a narrative that continues to unfold, one that reminds me to tread carefully in the spaces where history and innovation intersect. There was something